Final presentation before coffee, and the presentation is called Driving ROI Through Customer Conversations. Are you okay, Luisa? Is it okay? And so we have Luisa Mazinter, who's the Chief Executive of themarketingsite.com. I will leave you in her good company.
And coming out of this morning's sessions, I think the key message that's coming to us as marketers is that we are working and operating in hugely complex times. Our jobs are getting a whole lot harder. And I love to quote General Shinesky of the US Army, who says, if you don't like change, guess what? You're going to like irrelevance even less. The reality is that we're living in a world where change has become part of our lives, and managing change, particularly us as marketers, has become so important. And that change, the pace and the rate of change is increasing dramatically. So we're constantly having to revise, to rethink, to relook at our strategies, at how we go to market, at how we interact and engage with our customers, not just on a weekly or a monthly basis, but day by day, minute by minute, as that real-time data hits us. We're also having to do this in an environment which has become hyper-competitive, where competition is coming from areas that we never expected it to come from in the past. And we're having to think about how do we differentiate what we do, who we are, to reach our target market in a way that they actually notice us, that they listen to us, that they're prepared to spend their valuable time and attention with us. Product life cycles are getting shorter. We have to get to market quicker. We have less time to really establish our brands and our products and our services in the marketplace. And as we know, time is money, so we're needing to leverage and to get a return much faster than we did in the past. And we're having to do this in a world where this mass communication doesn't work the same way that it used to. Our customers are saying, speak to me, recognize me, understand me for who I am, and treat me as an individual. So absolutely, the mass market has vanished, and power has shifted into the hands of the consumers. And what's happening in the consumer's world? They are being flooded with this deluge of information from every single area, from every single potential competitor. We as organizations have to break through this competitive clutter, this proliferation of channels, this proliferation of media that Jody was talking about earlier is hitting our consumers on a day-to-day basis. 5,000 messages a day. How do you cope? Physiologically, as human beings, we're not made to deal with all of that stuff. Our brains, what they do is they tend to cut out all of the extraneous stuff and just let a couple of relevant, important messages through. Is your brand one of those messages? Linda Stone, ex-Microsoft, talks about the state of continuous partial attention. It's an ADDIG world, guys. It is attention deficit disorder, instant gratification. That is the world we're living in. We do not pay attention to any one thing for any period of time. I love the state of mental blurriness when this information is pumping into our brains and we're having to exclude it. Some people talk about the fact that it is like living near a train line, and I can speak to this personally because when I was at university many, many years ago, I lived near a train line, and after about maybe 20 days, I never heard the trains again. Because we block it out. We do not listen to it. What are our consumers doing? They are blocking out our commercial messages unless those messages are relevant, unless they really speak to them. We're having to do all of this with less and less money. So we're constantly facing budget constraints. We have to do more with less. We have to be better at the way we do things. We have to be more intelligent in order to get a better return on investment. And there are a number of reasons for that. Obviously, we're facing pretty tough economic realities. We talk about a recession, we talk about a double-dip recession, and certain industries are suffering more than others. Some say certain industries have caused the issue. But the other thing we need to understand about economics is that it is cyclical, is that as things go down, so they will come up. And yes, we as marketers have to go with the flow. We have to find a way to break through, to achieve, to speak directly to our customers in times that are tough and times that are good. And in fact, the better we get at it now in the tough times, the more effective we're going to be in the good times. And we're doing all of this in a time, as Jody said, where digital technology is growing and evolving at this rapid pace. And while that adds to the clutter and adds to the number of channels that we as marketers are using to reach our consumers, those technologies are also becoming incredibly powerful enabling tools for our businesses. They're enabling us to take this incredible proliferation of data and refine it, analyze it so that we can use it to be more effective and to generate a better return on our marketing investment. So we're heading into a digital world where it's not just about the fact that new channels are coming up, but that digital technology is being embedded in the objects that we interact with, in the tools that we use every day, both businesses and consumers. And the numbers are staggering, and I'm going to spend 2 minutes really just giving you an indication. The latest figures in terms of internet access, global internet access, says that there are 2.2 billion, 2.26 billion people online who have access to the internet today. And what I find really interesting about this slide is not so much the volume, but if you look at where the growth has come from in the past 10 years, the growth has undoubtedly come from continents like Africa, Middle East, Latin America, Asia. The growth has come from the developing world, where penetration rates are absolutely there in the developed world. We are seeing this massive exponential growth in the developing world, and this picture is consistent across. Just look at the number of active users across the social networks, and this is 2012 numbers. Facebook has passed the 900 million mark. They are heading for the billion. Pretty soon, Facebook, almost half the people on the world who are on the internet will be on Facebook. YouTube, 800 million, LinkedIn, all of these networks are becoming so prolific. And what's really interesting about them is the rate and the pace of growth. And yes, there's been some media about how that growth curve is tailing off, but it's phenomenal the speed at which these social networks have become part and parcel of our daily lives. And ladies and gentlemen, this pales into insignificance. These numbers pale into insignificance when we look at them in comparison to what's happening in the mobile space. We have, by the end of 2012, by the end of 2011, there were 6 billion mobile subscriptions in the world. 6 billion. That's not 6 billion people, it's 6 billion active SIM cards in the world. That was an increase in 2010, there were 5.4 billion, 2009, 4.7 billion. Again, the rate of growth has been phenomenal. Now, of those 6 billion, it's probably about 4.2 billion of those are actual people, and a lot of them have multiple SIMs. A lot of these SIMs sit in equipment and machines. But it's mind-blowing. Ericsson forecasts that by 2017 there will be 9 billion active SIM cards, mobile SIM cards in the world. And the growth is incredible. Where's that growth coming from? It's coming from the developed world. So 2000, of the 719 million active SIMs, the bulk of them were sitting in the developed world. And as that has evolved, 2011, the growth and the development has been in the developing world. 30% of the world's mobile users live in India and China. India has just under a billion, 919 million subscribers. China has 1.023 billion mobile SIM subscribers. That's where the growth is. And what does that mean? It means that our customers have in their pockets a tool and a device that allows us to access them, that allows us to communicate with them, to engage with them in a way never before possible. This is a very exciting time to live in. The other reality that we're facing as marketers is that we're dealing with a whole new generation of consumers. I love this quote, "Children today are tyrants. They contradict their parents, gobble their food, and tyrannize their teachers." Who do you think said that? Actually, it was Socrates in 425 BC. So what's changed? Well, nothing really has changed, has it? For those parents in the room, we know that. But at the same time, everything has changed. Why? Because kids today are different. They have grown up in a digital world. Their expectations, their needs, their requirements, not just of the companies that they interact with, that they buy from, but also the companies that they work for. In this case, the schools that they go to, is different. They expect a world which is enabled. They expect a world where the tools are accessible and available to them. And they're a force to be reckoned with. This generation got lots of names: the Net Generation, Generation Y, the Millennials. They're the biggest single generation ever. They're currently between the ages of 11 and 30, so they are an economically active, a portion of them are very economically active, bigger than the baby boomers. They learn, they play, they communicate, they engage, they work very, very differently from the way we did and from the way that parents did. And they are a force for both social and organizational transformation. They are changing the world that we live in. And it impacts on how they communicate. Technological mastery is part of their world. They were born with digital DNA. They came out of the womb looking for the smartphone, you know, so that they could start chatting or instant messaging with their friends. And more excruciating for us as marketers is they speak a completely different language to us. So how many of you know what LOL means? Laugh out loud. Okay, that one's an easy one. KHUF? Anybody? No, this is a different language, guys. Know how you feel. And for the parents in the room, PAL, PAW, or 9. Parents are listening, parents are watching, and 9 is adult in the room. So you got to keep an eye on your kid's cell phone and what they're actually saying. They are speaking a different language. What implication does that have for us as marketers? What does it mean in terms of how we need to communicate? And the interesting thing is we're sitting in this sort of balance where we need to have two hats. We need to talk to their parents in one language. We need to talk to kids in another if we want to remain relevant, if we want to be one of those few brands and those few companies that they pay attention to in and amidst this clutter that is hitting their brains. The other implication of this, and this is kind of scary, is that because these kids are growing up digital, because we have different tools, it is impacting on the way we think and the way we process information. There's been a lot of scientific research that says the structure of the brain is changing. We no longer need the capability to memorize things. Why? Because we don't need to remember. We've got Google, and it's on our cell phone, and it's in our pocket 24/7. So the way we process information, the way we think is different. Even physiologically, the way we're standing is different. My mother is a dance teacher at a ballet school in South Africa. And she says the kids coming in, the dancers coming in, they are struggling to keep these kids, get them to stand up straight because they have a natural curve to the neck from sitting and peering over their cell phones. It's a major challenge. So we are impacted directly by technology and everything we do. So what does this mean for us as marketers and the media and the marketing landscape? Is that in the old days, we knew that fewer ads reached more people with undivided attention because there were many fewer channels. Whereas today, a proliferation of commercial messages are reaching much more niched and targeted audiences who are paying far less attention because there is this such proliferation of channels and media. So the challenge is that we're not getting the same bang for our buck. Our marketing productivity is diminishing. And so what do we do naturally as marketers? Well, we think, okay, there's more marketing resistance, so therefore we need to shout louder. So we saturate the market, and we wave our arms around, and we shout loud, and we tell people how amazing we are. And what's the result of that? More marketing resistance. It has the opposite effect. In fact, a study that Yankelovich Monitor did said it's not that consumers want an end to marketing, they just want a better experience with marketing. And as Hugh McLeod said, and it sort of lines to Jodie's video, if you talk to people the way advertising talk to people, they'd punch you in the face. We have to stop talking at people, and we have to start engaging with people. And the only way we do that is by really understanding who we are and using the tools and the data that we have at our disposal to do that. So how else is marketing changing? The other way it's changing is the old sort of approach, this funnel metaphor of people sort of really going from awareness, interest, desire, action has changed. And why? Because suddenly there are so many other voices. There are so many other areas or people or engagements, be it from your peers, from your friends, from people you know and don't know, who are influencing your decision as a consumer on which brand to even consider and which brands to buy. In fact, McKinsey, in the form of David Edelman, did some really interesting research a couple of years ago and more recently looked at it in the social sphere, talking about a new customer decision journey. So the funnel metaphor, where people started with a whole lot of brands in mind and slowly but surely filtered those brands down to the final decision made, doesn't work anymore. In today's day and age, we sit at the consideration stage with fewer brands in mind. And then we go out into the digital world and we see what other people are saying. We don't go onto brand sites. We go onto review sites. We go onto the Amazons of this world. We go on to see what other people are saying about the particular category that we're interested in. And then we channel down to the brand that we want based on colleagues or people that we don't know what their opinions are, not based on brand messaging. So a study that was done recently says that only 14% of people actually believe in the veracity of advertising messages. The rest of people go out there and look and listen to what other people say. And then, according to Edelman's research, is after that point of purchase, which is hugely important, it's the post-purchase experience that is critical, because if people have a good experience with your brand, they will go out and become advocates for your brand, and they will join the number of voices out there in the digital world talking about how great the experience were, which will then impact on those people who are in their consideration set. And once they've bonded with your brand, once they feel that you are delivering on their expectations, they remain loyal. You never have to go out and convince them again to stay with you, as long as you maintain and manage that relationship over time and don't let them down. And they will add to the chatter out there that influences others. So it becomes a self-fulfilling loop. So what's important now for us as marketers? And Seth Godin has a great sort of story around this. He said clearly that data is absolutely critical for us as marketers to start to work with, to start to understand. And it's becoming so much easier nowadays to actually gather data, to mine it, and to gain insights out of that data in order to impact on the decisions that we made. But it's not data alone. We need to look at our brands, we need to look at our companies and say, what are the stories that we can develop around our brands that define who we are, what we do, and what we say? How do we take our products and services and create some kind of mythical story? How does the product become a myth, the service become a legend? How do we take it out of where it is and raise it to a new level? And how do the products and services become the physical manifestations of those stories? How do we reimagine those so that they become mythical? And around those experiences and around the stories that we tell and that we co-create with our customers, what are those touch points, those interactions that we have with our customers that allow them to be part of that storytelling process? Because our end goal is about connection, it's about engagement, it's about connecting with our customers at a very deep level where we can create true relationships, where we create a band of brothers or a tribe of people who want to belong. And this is a wonderful little case study that I'm going to show you. This is the South African case study of a fast food restaurant who targeted a very, very niche market with a very simple campaign and created something that had meaning and a story beyond the original reach. So Fabulous campaign. So where do we need to focus? Thank you. So where should we focus as marketers? We need to focus on telling stories and creating experiences. And as you can see from that example, just reaching 15 people expanded the message out to 800,000 very targeted people within a specific niche to get a message across, because they took that story and were able to tell it to their friends, to their colleagues, and to their community. We need to think about, how do we create a platform for meaning? How do we create a sense of belonging amongst our consumers, a cause that our customers can relate to and can engage with? And simultaneously, we need to look at, how do we take all of the data that we gather and really analyze it in finer and finer segments to allow us to automate decisioning and to allow us to define what the next steps are to build those closer relationships. How do we customize and personalize that experience for our customers? And how do we make sure that there is consistent delivery of the solution across to every single customer? And finally, how do we stand out? Well, we clearly define and communicate our unique value proposition, which is the experience that only we can provide to our customers around this concept in a very authentic, honest, and open way. The entire experience needs to be built on strong values. It needs to create a powerful emotional connection. As Cory Doctorow said, it's not content that is king, which is what we've been saying. It's conversation that is king. Content is just something. It's very important, but it really is just something to talk about. So guys, you need to create something that is worth talking about, something that people are going to share and certainly are going to expose. So the future of marketing is about having conversations with customers, as the Clue Train Manifesto said in early 2000. How do you start? Well, you need to understand what's working in today's world. You need to understand that dialogue trumps sponsorship. And this was the case from the FIFA World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, which was a big deal for us, where Nike was actually able to undermine everything that the official sponsors were doing by creating dialogue and meaning beyond the actual sponsorship of the event. This is a client of ours, MTN Football, which is a portal focused on football in Africa and beyond. And for us, it was great. It was great. We started it out in 2004, 2005, really to focus on MTN sponsorship. They're one of the biggest mobile network operators in Africa. But it was only when we started to incorporate a social component, where we started to build and create community, to create customer advocacy and engagement that we were able to see this massive response. We got people who were so passionate about the brand because of the fact that the brand was supporting a sport that they believed in. I love this quote: "Ladies and gentlemen, I will never visit Facebook because the revolution and future is here at MTN Football. So guys, join me." Our overall performance post involving the social component jumped dramatically. Our traffic improved 62%, time on site improved, average numbers of pages improved, bounce rate decreased. It was really about the fact that I'm coming to a community and a platform enabled by a brand that really meets my needs and expectations. And clearly it expanded way beyond the portal into the social space as well. So create a platform for advocacy, innovate through co-creation, invite your customers into the party, get them to help service other customers, get them to feel a sense of ownership in your brand, crowdsource. There are so many great examples of organizations around the world who are opening up the kimono, as we say, to allow the customers in, to allow customers to participate and engage. Think outside of the box. Do something unique, do something different. I love this example of Domino's Pizza, who took learnings from the courier industry into the pizza making industry, where you can now, once you've ordered your pizza, you can track the progress of that pizza. You know, in the pizza's under order, it's being prepped, it's in the oven, it's on the bike, it's getting to you, so you can literally track the pizza on its way to you. Create a movement, create a cause bigger than yourself. This is the Dove campaign for Real Beauty, which is really about saying women's lack of self-esteem needs to be supported and enhanced, and they created a massive campaign around it. Provide a human face. This is the CEO of one of the top banking groups in South Africa, who is tweeting constantly, who's retweeting, replying to just general consumers, who makes them feel so important, so good, that a CEO of a major corporation is willing to take the time to listen to what they have to say. Add value. Procter & Gamble is an absolute master at this, of really giving customer added value content, knowledge that isn't all about pushing sales, but is about supporting a lifestyle. Personalize and customize. Make every experience as personal and as customizable as possible. Use the tools for service and CRM, and there's so many case studies of brands who are using Twitter, who are using Facebook to really start responding and engaging. Think about multi-channel. Look at how you're going to surround those customers consistently with your message. Always think mobile first. I showed you those stats up front, particularly in Africa and in India. This is the place where we need to start with mobile and go up. So there are so many things that we as marketers have to think about in today's day and age. And it's such an exciting time. We have to understand that if we are not readying ourselves to deal with all of this changing environment, we're going to run into trouble. As Business Week said, community power departs radically from everything we've seen since the Industrial Revolution. And The Economist says only those firms able to serve these newly empowered customer communities are going to survive into the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, is this you? Is this your brand? Are you burying your heads in the sand? Or are you engaging in practices like marketing 0.2, you know, backvertising, assvertising, nailvertising, lipvertising, teethvertising, headvertising, furvertising, fruitvertising, stampvertising? Or are you going to take a step back? And are you going to think about how you can adapt in today's day and age? Are you going to listen to the words of Jack Welch, who said we have only two sources of competitive advantage: the ability to learn more about our customers faster than the competition, and the ability to turn that learning into action faster than the competition. We have the tools at our disposal to really listen, to learn, and to convert that into action in real time. Don't bury your head in the sand. Stand up there, embrace those tools, and remember, it's a competitive world out there. Stop playing in the same sandpit as your competitors. Think out of the box. Think differently. Think about how you do things differently.
Well, well, well. A new car in this economy?
Well, this is the 2009 Hyundai Elantra. It actually gets 24 miles to the gallon, so it's pretty smart.
Not as smart as my new 2009 Toyota Prius. It gets 36 miles to the gallon, so that's very economical in these times.
Well, the Hyundai comes with driver's side airbags, standard, so it's safe too.
I have 6 standard airbags. That's safer.
Mine's got the upgraded stereo with an MP3 input, so it's fun too.
Cute. Well, mine comes with an MP3 CD player, surround sound, and it's set up for XM satellite radio. That's real fun.
Well, this Hyundai only sent me back about 19.5 with 0.9% APR. Now that is a good bargain.
That's the best part. Thanks to Toyota's cash back offer, I got mine for only $14,500. That's $5,000 less than yours. Plus, with Toyota's no-worry warranty, I have peace of mind, and that's saying a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Any questions? We'll have time afterwards during the networking session. Thanks so much.